back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to take a look at the news stories making headlines across the globe is Arise News correspondent Aron Akerejola. Hello, Aron.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good to see
It's
you.
nice to have you here again.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Always good to be here.
Okay, what are the headlines today?
All right, so we started off from Norway, and let's tell you that Norway's fishery minister, Per Sandberg, has resigned after breaching security protocol during a holiday to Iran last month with Iranian-born girlfriend. Per Sandberg, who is 58, admitted he had gone with Bahrain Letnis, who is 28, without informing the prime minister and had taken the government phone to Iran. The PM's governs in coalition with his anti-immigration Progress Party. The trip risks exposing Mr. Sandberg to Iran spies, as he should not have taken a work phone with him. Prime Minister Erna Solberg says that she has ordered Mr. Sandberg to hand his phone to the police for safe checks, and he has also resigned as deputy leader of the Progress Party.
Well, quite a straightforward story. This
Quite
is about rules.
Ethical
This is
conduct.
about ethical conduct,
Yeah.
you know.
Reminds
And
me of Hillary Clinton and what Donald Trump dragged Hillary Clinton during the campaign, all about taking the phone
And,
Yes.
out of the work,
emails.
emails that was not supposed to be on her private server, that was on her private server.
Well, why
I
make
wish
a
we could
mistake
have
like
similar
that?
rules in Nigeria here.
True talk.
Because
True
nobody
talk.
enforces things like this in
No,
Nigeria. And we take, you know, national security for granted on many occasions, because this is about the connection between that particular official and national security.
True talk.
And, you know, jeopardizing possibly the interest of the country.
Well,
Even if there was no jeopardy, at least there was that risk.
Although there's a part we're not looking at, the fact that a man who is almost 60 is dating a lady in her 20s. Also, I'm looking
I
at
knew you were
it.
going to bring that up.
Maybe she's 28 and she's an adult.
Yes.
True, that's not what I'm saying. But the point is, you will not be expecting someone in that particular political class to be dating someone that young. He should have been, is it that he should be married, or I don't know.
Oh, Aaron,
I
come
don't
on.
No,
Come
that's
on,
his
Aaron.
personal choice.
Yeah.
These are personal
I
matters.
don't know.
You can't
I'm a
dictate-
Nigerian, not speaking like a
No, you
Nigerian
can't.
here. now.
Even in Nigeria, don't you see 17-year-olds,
normal, yes.
you know, marrying young ladies?
Because dating her, one, now dating and taking her on an official trip, that's where I'm actually looking at.
Yeah, well, his conduct, yes, but not the choice that he has made.
Okay.
I don't think we can.
Because I
dictate
think
that.
all of the duplicity of all this is maybe what they're looking at, because actually taking the lady also, why would they be going why would they be taking the lady like that? I don't know. I'm
No,
not
the
sure.
issue
We
in that
don't
story
really
is not about
understand
the
where you're
lady.
going.
No,
with
but
this,
of course,
Aaron.
without
Not
a
the
doubt.
lady. It's
Without a
about
doubt.
national security. It's
Exactly.
about abuse of privilege.
And the swiftness in which they actually handle the issue also. Because sometimes I think we're always guilty about that in Nigeria, whereby we allow simple things that can be trashed, quashed, to actually linger for too long.
All right, let's go over to the U.S. What's going on with Omarosa?
Okay, former advisor to Donald Trump has released what she says is a tape of a phone call from the U.S. president after her dismissal last year. And the tape played on the U.S. TV channel NBC. A voice presumed to be Mr. Trump expresses surprise at Omarosa Manigault's Newman being fired the previous day. The male voice could be heard saying, in quotes, "Nobody even told me about it." End of quote. Omarosa is releasing a memoir soon, and the White House have described her as a disgruntled ex-employee. President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says that she may have broken the law by recording private conversations at the White House. Ms. Manigault Newman knew the president for her days as a star at The Apprentice reality TV show and advised him on African-American issues during the 2016 election before taking communications role in the White House.
Well, again, I don't know what, you know, Omarosa wants to achieve with this kind of conduct.
Well, she's trending right now,
Because
so
these
that's what she's
People
achieved
that
so
don't
far.
know Omarosa will be the ones to be surprised.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows Omarosa is a certified drama queen. She loves attention. She
Yes.
loves to glue to the limelight. She likes being the center of focus. The Apprentice that brought her into the limelight. She made a meal out of everything. Donald Trump actually went loggerheads with her. I was surprised probably 4 years later when they were doing the Celebrity Apprentice, she came back again. She's always looking for a way to do something controversial.
The issue is about her opportunistic conduct.
Yes.
I mean, smuggling a phone into the Situation Room and recording conversations.
And now she may have
You should-
broken the law, yeah?
Well,
That's what it says
Well,
here.
It's left for the
even if
lawyers
she
to
has not-
determine.
Even if she has not broken the law, there are issues about integrity, about character. You are in a position of privilege, and then you go in, you smuggle the phone in, and you know that can compromise the security of the United States. I recall when I was in government, I mean, you are not even allowed, to take your phone upstairs. All the guests, you drop your phone, and only very few persons, are allowed to hold their phones when they are, having audience with the president. So there will be issues about security clearance, because when you are given security clearance and access to certain areas in the presidency, when you abuse it, there are issues about integrity and your own character.
She likes to be branded the villain. And they call her the villain in entertainment, the entertainment world
Well,
in
Donald
America.
Trump says she's a lowlife.
She is. If you'd ask me, she is.
Well,
because she,
I'm not the one
because I
saying
don't-
that. I'm
Okay,
quoting
let's-
Donald
Because
Trump.
the point is she
let's-
likes to take cheap shots at people. She does that a lot. And so I'm not surprised that Omarosa is doing this. What was a surprise for me was Donald Trump knew her character and he still brought her on board.
Well, this is all about a memoir, so let's just take it easy on her.
I'll be keeping an eye on that memoir. We'll be keeping an eye on that memoir.
All right, so
All right, let's tell you that a veteran FBI agent exchanged anti-Trump text messages with a colleague during the election and has been fired from the FBI. Peter Strzok's has been accused by Republicans of being biased against Donald Trump and seeking to prevent his election victory. Mr. Trump has pointed to the text message exchanges as evidence of bias in the special counsel's Russian probe. Mr. Strzok served on the Russian probe and the Hillary Clinton email inquiry.
Well, I mean, certain categories of persons who work in government are expected to be non-partisan.
True.
Yeah, when you become partisan as a security agent or somebody, having a special responsibility, then, of course, questions will be raised. And I wish we could do a lot more in terms of this kind of reaction
In Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Correct.
Where people hold a privileged position and they are just politicians, and using their positions to play politics.
But it's rather unfortunate that sensitive positions like that are being given when you want to appoint people. It's basically you're looking at quota system, you're looking at political influences, you're looking at political kickbacks, so to speak. You want to actually probably reward somebody for his loyalty to you, not looking at it from the technocrat point of view.
The thing generally is that human beings will misbehave, whether they are technocrats or they are competent or not competent. But the thing is to create an environment whereby people will not readily abuse their own circumstances
Right. So it's good
or
that people are
privileges
fired
or
anyways.
opportunities.
Right.
And when they do,
There will be sanctions.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, right.
So you must have a strong reward and sanction system.
Correct.
Bad conduct should be sanctioned.
Always. So what's happening in Uganda?
All right, let's tell you that Uganda president's car came under attack by opposition supporters in the town of Arua, where a by-election is to hold tomorrow, I beg your pardon. This was disclosed by our senior press secretary to the president, Yoweri Katuga. Our photo shared by Don Wanyama showed that the rear mirror of the president's Toyota V8 has been smashed in the attack. However, he did not comment whether the president was hurt or not. The information came barely an hour after a popular lawmaker, Robert Kanyolain Sesetamo, also as Bobby Wine posted on Twitter that police had attempted to kill him.
Well, violence of any sort, whether it's politically motivated or otherwise, should be condemned.
Without
It
a
is
doubt.
unacceptable.
Yes.
And it is very sad that, across Africa, we find it very difficult to hold peaceful elections in most places, whether it's by-election or it's a general election. Look at the situation in Mali, for example, where they've had the general elections and a runoff, and it's just violence all over the place. So over 100 polling booths, were attacked. And now you have this story also coming from Uganda.
But what were the securities doing? Because for them to have come that close to the president's car,
Well, there is
Right.
a breach of security.
that's a big
That's
question
a
mark
very
there.
good question,
There's
yeah.
a breach of
big-
security.
Very true.
Because in my own opinion, some people have a huge case to answer when somebody comes that close to the car of the president.
But it also depends on the circumstances. We've seen pictures of African leaders sometimes coming down and relating with the people, sometimes shaking hands and all that. But if you have somebody in the crowd who is who has something against you, then you can expose yourself to risk. Take, for example, our own vice president, Professor Osinbajo, now acting president in the absence of the president. You see him sometimes, he likes to pump hands with people, and all that. And each time I see him doing that, I say, wow, this is too close. Should there be any emergency, even the security people may not be able to help.
This is
because
but they're trained to actually assess the situation, look at the environment, and actually assess whether the man is at risk at every given point in time.
Yeah, but
it's your job.
You can blame his guards, because there's usually a network of security around the president. You could have up to 4 layers. Okay, true. And for you to have direct access to him, you really have to break through that network of guards. And if they know their job, they will not even allow you get close to him.
So let's find out when the story evolves, correct? So what's going on in Zimbabwe?
All right, let's say the legal secretary of Zimbabwe's ruling party, the ZANU-PF party, Paul Mangwana, has said its lawyers would respond to the opposition's court challenge of the election results by Wednesday. In his first national address since being declared winner in the disputed presidential vote, Mangwana blamed the main opposition movement for democratic change, MDC, for the post-voting violence that saw 6 people being killed after the army stepped in to quell the post-election protests this month. During Heroes Day commemorations in the capital, Harare, he said, and I quote, "It is now time to put the election period behind us and embrace the future," end of quote.
Well, I mean, it's good that, they're going to court, because the opposition party, the MDC, has insisted that it will go to court, and it has done so, and it has rejected the results of the elections held on July 29. But, going through due process is much better than what happened on August 1, when the army descended on protesters and supporters of the MDC, and killed 6 persons in the process. And the president, of course, should allow due process, the rule of law, to prevail. The intimidation and harassment of the opposition, as is going on right now in that country.
I hope we can evolve as human beings here in Africa, and also as political entities, to be able to let opposition thrive, understanding that the opposition, your government is as strong as your opposition, so to speak.
All right, so we're
caution the opposition. Sometimes I just feel that shouldn't be. It's all part of this political setup.
Yeah, but there is a culture of intolerance in many African countries. And many African presidents
All right, I think we can talk more about this. We just have to round up this segment right now. So it's time now for a short break. When we return, we'll have This Day newspaper executive director Emmanuel Efeni join us with a review of the top stories on today's newspapers. Stay with us.